Hi, it's Mary, a traditional Chinese medicine tutor and an acupuncturist in Canada. Today's video will briefly introduce the initiation and development of traditional Chinese medicine. We will introduce three ancient philosophies, which are Qing Monism, Yin-Yang, and the Five-Element series. We will introduce four classic books, including Huangdi's Inner Classic, and some TCM masters and their contributions to the TCM. TCM is an integral part of the word medicine, of course, because we share the same word and we share the same earth. Even though we are in Western society, it's good to learn another perspective.
TCM is a systematical medical system.
Traditional Chinese medicine is a systematical medical system. When you say it's a systematical, it means that it's an integrated one. You can use the same principles to analyze different things, or even the word looks very different, but the root, the principles are the same. You can apply the same principles to analyze what we already know and use this principle to predict what's coming. That's how we call it systematic. The conditions for TCM, traditional Chinese medicine, to become this kind of system, there's a conditions for that. First is a accumulation of long periods of a medical experience. It's really long. It's more than 2,000 years already. During this period, people has accumulations and proved to be useful and effective. The another condition is because the traditional Chinese medicine integrated or guided by ancient philosophy thinking. The ancient philosophy mainly are three. First is the Qi, or we call it the Qing Monism. The so-called Qing Monism saying the whole world is made of Qi. If you think everything is made of Qi, they are based on the same material, so they can affect each other. They can change to each other. The things, whether big or small, whether it's invisible or visible, all made of Qi. It's actually easy to understand this part. For example, you see the ice, the liquid water, the evaporized water, they are different things. Ice is solid. The liquid water is liquid. The evaporized water is gas. They are different, but we know common sense tells us they can change to each other, just under different conditions. They all made of Qi, so they can affect each other. If you say everything made of Qi, our humans are made of Qi. The environment are made of Qi as well, so the Qi can affect each other. Example would be people who have arthritis. They usually can work as a weather reportman. When the rainy day is coming, they feel sore. They'll say, oh, the weather is getting worse. The rainy days is coming. Why? It's because the environment affects the human. They're all made of Qi. When the Qi at the same level, the humid Qi in the environment and the humid Qi in the human body,
they are the Qi of the same kind and will reinforce each other.
So they can affect each other because everything's are made of Qi. The another theory is about the Yin-Yang. Inside the Qi, there's a two opposite part. Yin refers to anything has the nature of cold, going downward, quietness. That's the yin. Opposite part, yang, would be referred to things that are hot, warm, active, going upward. That thing's called yang. Anything have these two parts. They will not go one direction. Like human, even some people, you more think about the yang kind of person. They are more active, outgoing, but they still have that part, like a quiet part. So it's just like which one dominates. The yin and the yang is like the coin has two sides. If you think the qi is the coin, then the two sides would be the yin-yang. Yin-yang constitute everything. Another one we call the five elements. All the things in the universe can be classified as wood, fire, earth, metal, and water. The nature characters are different. If they belong to the same character, we divide it into different categories. So including our Zang organs, like liver in charge of the tendon. associated with flexibility of the body, which looks like the wood, because wood has to be flexible. So we think liver belong to the wood. In this way, we use this philosophy, whole universe categorized into 5, to categorize our human bodies. These 3 philosophies established long before the establishment of a traditional Chinese medicine. The traditional Chinese medicine applied those philosophies into the system, using the philosophies to guide the establishment, practice, development of the traditional Chinese medicine. Guided by these 3 philosophies, TCM used them to analyze disease and analyze how they prevent it and treat it. These philosophies is kind of like the methodology. We use the philosophy to guide our practice, research. And also because those philosophies put everything together. So even later, when you are well into the TCM world, you are going to learn, or not just learn, and also apply the theories in your practice. The theory is part of our work. We will train our habit of thinking by using the philosophies. The 3 philosophies is the key base for the TCM to become a systematic, integrated medical system. Traditional Chinese medicine also integrated other natural science like astronomy, calendar, acoustics, mathematics. It's because the human living in between the heaven and the earth. Above us is the heaven, so it's the heaven's qi. The earth is the earth's qi. If you say everything is made of qi, so it's easy to understand. Heaven's qi, earth's qi. Human is in between them. We human was actively infected by our surrounding, by the heaven and the earth. For example, like we can call it heaven's qi. We need this to survive. And the food we take, we consume the food, they are grown from the earth. They are transformed by the earth's qi. We need breathe. We need the fresh air. We need food to survive. So you can see that what's going on with the heaven, the astronomy, the weather change, what's going on with the season, with the geography, with the agriculture, they all affect us. In terms of the mathematics, there's 4 seasons, 12 months, and there's a day and a night. Those numbers has connection with us. Later we know the even number, like 2, 4, 6, 8, those are even numbers, they belong to yin. And the odd number belong to yang, like 1, 3, 5, 7 belong to the yang. When we are using those numbers has effect on us. For example, you are doing Moxibustion. Moxibustion usually is used on people who are feeling cold, like there's yang deficiency. When the yang is not enough, we say yang associated with warm, with heat. If yang is not enough, that's the yang deficiency. So when the yang is in deficiency, which means yang is not enough, your body will going to feel what? Feel hot or cold? If yang is not sufficient, the people will going to feel colder. Now we say that we already had a good idea. When yang is not sufficient, people will start to feel cold. If people come to see you feeling cold, or like aged people, they usually feel cold. They wear more than youth, those young people. It already gives you an idea their yang is not sufficient. You already got the diagnosis. Because yang associated with hot, with warm, that's called yang. Cold associated with yin, that's the difference of it. If people were always feeling cold, Moxibustion is a good idea to tonify it, because the mosa is a specific herb, can reinforce the body's yang. Mosa, we call it zhuang, 1 zhuang, 2 zhuang. You can do 1 or 3 or 5 or 7. You use the odd number, because odd number is the yang number. You do Moxibustion, you don't do 4 times, 4 zhuang, or you don't do 6 zhuang. because those drums are even number, are yin number. Because people is feeling cold, it means the yang is not sufficient. You want to tonify the yang, so you use Moxibustion. You use the odd number, use the yang number. That's just a simple example why the numbers has effect on us. All the science or common sense will have influence on TCM. Another example, why we study calendar, why the calendar has effect on human. In nature, we know there's a new moon, there's a full moon. The new moon and the full moon also has an effect on the tide. Here is the high tide. This is the low tide. When the moon is full moon, you are expecting to see high tide. That's the moon has the effect on the water.
However, the full moon and the new moon also affect the human body's qi and the blood levels. On a full moon day, the earth is in between the sun and the moon. The earth is fully exposed to the sun. Yang qi is most abundant compared to other days in the month. Given everything else the same, humans' qi and blood reach their maximum. This is when people's defense power against the pathogens is strong. On the day of the new moon, which is no moon day, as the moon blocks the earth from the sun, people's qi and blood fall to the minimum level, resulting in the lowest defense power against the pathogens. That is why, on days close to the new moon day, if pathogens attack people, the disease is usually deep and severe.
According to Plain Question, Chapter 26,
When the moon is first born, the blood begins to flow, and the Wei Qi begins to flow freely.
When the moon is full, the body's blood will be full, and the muscles will be solid.
When the moon is dark and lightless, the muscles become weakened, the meridians become empty, the Wei Qi decays, and the body is not protected by the Wei Qi.
Therefore, it is necessary to adjust the qi and blood in accordance with the time of the moon.
When you think about that, we know bloodletting is a very commonly seen way used in traditional Chinese medicine.
In traditional Chinese medicine,
There's 3 principles. The general principle is keep the balance of your body. Everything, too much or too little, are all disorder. We just need the right amount of the things. When there's too much in the body, you're going to reduce it. Why we intervene? Example like the bicycle, the bike. When there's too much qi, too much air inside the tire, you want to reduce it, let it go, let the qi go. But when there's not enough, we will pump in more air to tonify it. If there's too much excess, we reduce it. If there's a deficiency, not enough, we tonify it. That's the general 2 principles. You have to know these 2 principles. But there's another principle is underestimated, which is if there's a blockage, we need to let it go. Like highway, if there's a car accident, block the road, your car cannot go anywhere. You just have to remove the blockage. This kind of blockage usually is the blood stasis. The blood stasis in the body can slow down the circulation of the blood. When the blood circulation becomes slower, more chance of generation of new blood stasis, and it makes the blood circulation even slower. So get rid of the blood stasis is really key in the treatment. It's very common to see people has blood stasis. Sometimes people wear the shorts. You look at the back of the calf areas, very likely you see people have a spider wing, a lot of a spider wing. Those spider wings just shows that there's blood stasis. When there's blood stasis, you let it go. Do bloodletting and let it go. However, the thing is, when you do bloodletting, you are not just randomly doing it. At this time, you need to look at the moon and see, is it the right time to do the bloodletting? That's why you need to look at the calendar. You need to look at the moon to decide what should you do. We say spring, summer belong to yang. and autumn, winter belong to yin. One is hot, one is cold. However, it's changing. TCM thinks everything is a circular movement. Nothing will always going up. When it reaches certain limit, it will turn around. Once it reached summer solstice, the yang qi started to climb and the yin started to grow. Of course, this transaction is slowly, but at that moment, it started to turn around. The yang started to declining and the yin qi started to increase. Those are the dates. We will look at those dates and use them, combine them with our practice of TCM. Example can be yang qi will reinforce the yang qi of our body. In the summer, the yang qi will go outwards. But in the winter, the yang qi trying to go inside. We started to know, okay, starting from which day the yang is turning. That's the inference on that. At the beginning, we were not going to know exactly about this much details, but there's an inference on that. We see big picture first. At least we know spring, summer is the yang season. And from certain time, it started to turn in. The yang qi will going down. And the yin qi, the coldness, will start to growing and dominate until one day, when it reaches the peak, it will go back again. The yang qi will start to grow, and the yin qi will going to decline, and the yang qi becomes growing, then dominates. So you see the circular movement. TCM looks the circular movement. This one we will emphasize repeatedly about the movement. There's not a line. There's not a straight line. It's just turning around. That's why TCM becomes a systematic medical system. Mainly it's because it's guided by the philosophy. We use philosophy to guide our study, practice, research, everything.
Initiation of theoretical system of Chinese medicine.
Let's talk about the initiation of theoretical system of Chinese medicine. In this part, we're going to mention a lot of names, TCM masters and their contributions, famous books. Those books has great influence on people. There's 4 books laid the foundation of the traditional Chinese medicine. First one, Huangdi's Yin-the Classic of Medicine, and then Classic of Medical Problem. Then another one is Treatise on Cold, Pathogenic, and the Miscellaneous Disease, and then Shennong's Classic of Medical Herbs. These 4 books we're still using, especially the first one, Huangdi's Yin-the Classic. It's kind of like a Bible. Sometimes we say, why you do that? We say, okay, the Bible says that. The Huangdi's Yin-the Classic says that. We use it as evidence. You just have to believe that what they say is correct. Based on that, you use that logic to analyze the disease, to make your treatment plan, and then exactly the treatment plan, and then you see the result. Usually the result will tell you the theories from the Huangdi's in the classic are correct. That is why this book is so full of life. Until now, we still study this kind of thing. The thing is, the book was written 2,000 years ago in old Chinese, like Shakespeare. When Shakespeare write those drama, it's in the old style English. Nowadays, even we read the Shakespeare, it's a little difficult. You need educated to read the old style Shakespeare drama. It's not the plain language. Not to say the Huangdi's in the classic was read so many years ago. It makes very difficult to translate it into modern language. Then from there, to translate it into English, it's kind of the second transaction. Even difficult. You have to understand the TCM to make this kind of translation. But even like that, we still go back to the original word. There are several branches, different masters. They explain the same paragraph, the same concepts in different way. Even those masters, they explain it very differently. That's the character of learning TCM. Hardly see, or even you can say there's no standard answer to that. The book was there. People interpret it different way. We were going to learn those different perspectives. The principle is the same, but when it comes to certain things, maybe there's different arguments. perspective. We know that's the reality. We can remember the different philosophy and use them. If it works, then you follow that. If it didn't work, maybe it's not the time yet, then next time you can do it again and look at who is better in interpreting the truth. Huangdi in the classic really provides the base for the development of traditional Chinese medicine. In this book, the center is talking about the medical stuffs. When they're talking about the medicines, it is guided by the three philosophies, and they think of holism as the guiding line because everything's are connected. When you think about holism, holism means the things is one. We are integrated one. When it's one, it means one part of problems will affect another part, or it manifested in one part, but actually the root is on another part. Like in clinic, a lot of people will say, oh, I have a very stiff neck. If you have a stiff neck, we're going to palpate the whole unitary blood line. People came in to say, okay, I have a neck pain. As an acupuncturist, as a TCM practitioner, we think our body are one. So look at the unitary blood. The meridian lines go through the neck and the back along the spine to the groove area and go to the posterior part, legs, to the calf area and to the feet. Usually, if people has problems on the neck, we were going to palpate the whole lines, examine whole lines. Very likely, the pain or the tightness is on the leg, on the iliac tendon, the tendon areas. Very painful. If you somehow can release the tension on the calf areas, the pain on here will be reduced or even solved. So that's the underlying thinking, because we think our body are one, are integrated one. The patient don't understand that. When I treat the legs, they will say, no, my legs was okay. I have problems with my neck. In that situation, I would say, no, that's not the case of doing so. The problem here, it's not because you have a problem here. It is because you have problems on the here, on the leg area. The problem is here, but showed up like that. Because just like a river, if one area is flooding, you just stick on the flooding area, we're not going to work. You need to go along the stream, the river, to find out where it's blocked. And then you dig from there, the flooding will be solved. That's the idea of using holism. We think our body is one. Applying this knowledge inside, there's 5 Zang organs. In the upper part of the body, there's a heart and lung. And then middle, there's a spleen on the left side, liver on the right side. Move down, there's a kidney in this area. So we saw lower jaw, there's a kidney. When there's a problems, those problems will not be just isolated. They will affect others. Like people get really angry or damages the liver. When liver has a problem, some people, they get really mad. They cannot eat, even vomiting. That's the liver problem affected the stomach. Some people, they are so angry, depressed, they have a diarrhea problem. You can see that sometimes they will say, oh, I feel really bad, but after I go washroom, pass the stools, I feel better, feel more relieved. That is because liver affects the spleen. It is because inside Zang organs and the Fu organs affect each other. That is the holism. TCM uses the holism ideas. The holism is not just about the whole body, our body inside. There's all Zang organs, Fu organs. So-called Fu organ is more related with digestive system, like the stomach. Large intestine, small intestine, unitary bladder, gallbladder is called the Fu organs. So Zang organ, Fu organs. They are together, affect each other. And also we think our human and the environment are also integrated one. From this perspective, the holism perspective, we know the nature affects us. Like Canada is really blessed with the fresh air. Each time you step outside, the air makes you feel you are tonified by the essence from the heaven, from the nature. Think about if outside there's a pollution of the air, pollution of the water, even though you want to take care of yourself, but just impossible because you have to breathe. That's why our human and the environment are integrated one. Huangdi's inner classic use this holism as a guiding point to expound the life regularities and the integrity of the man with the external surroundings, and also to study human structure, the physiology. So-called physiology means in a normal state, how the people function. Then we study the pathology, which means in a disorder situation, how the body function. In a disorder situation, what's the manifestations, what's the root of the problem? That's the problems studied in pathology. And then they actually talked about the diagnosis, prevention, and treatment of the disease. Huangdi's inner classic is really something we will stick to. That's the main content of Huangdi's inner classic. Even though this book was published so long ago, 2,000 years ago, the skeletons, the record about the length of the skeleton, the size, the volume of the internal organs, their functions, how they work, it still works. They are not out of date. It's a magic. Huangdi's inner classic also talking about the channels, collaterals, those points, and how to use those points to treat the disease. It's really a very advanced book. We will need to learn from this book. This is laid the foundation of traditional Chinese medicine. Another book is called The Classic on Medical Problem. In this book, it talked about viscera, the Zang-fu organs, meridians, and also talking about the pulse taking. Usually in Huangdi's inner classic, the pulse taking has 9 parts to taking the pulse. But from this book, he started to say the pulse, you can just simply taking from the hand. This is the radial pulse. The radial artery go there. By palpating this area, you can know the yin-yang, can help the diagnosis of the body. This one made a great development contribution to the development of TCM, especially in expounding the meridians, the vital gates. So-called vital gates is about the kidney functions, and also has a triple energizer functions. This is the contribution of the book. Another one is called Treatise on Cold Pathogenic and Miscellaneous Disease. This one was written by Zang Zhongjing. Zang Zhongjing is a big name. Many theories is actually the work from the Zang Zhongjing. He mainly discussed the diagnosis and treatment of diseases caused by cold pathogen. Like the coldness, once the coldness go inside the body, they will from the superficial part, external part, go inside and have different effect. With the different effect, different stage of the disease, he gives the principles of treating them. He gives the formulas of treating them, and also talks about the herbs, what kind of herbs to treat this. This book is kind of a guiding book. Nowadays, we still looking at the book and use the book as the main frame and make some adjustment to specific person. But your formula would be based on this classic formula. Once you get the correct diagnosis, you use the formula, make some adjustment, and use it to your patient. Later, people call Zang Zhongjing as the ancestor of formula. Another part of the same book is called Miscellaneous Disease. This miscellaneous disease is not the disease triggered by the cold pathogen, but anything more than that. Zang Zhongjing is the one you need to know. This is one of the biggest names. The previous books, like Huangdi's Inner Classic, we never know who's the writer. It's just a book. There's no specific person was linked to that book. But this one, Treatise on Cold Pathogenic and Miscellaneous Disease, is written by Zang Zhongjing. There's another one called Shennong's Classic of Medical Herbs. This book recorded 365 kinds of medicines. These medicines, they divided into 3 different grades to treat different problems. We say everything has yin-yang, so is the herbs. In this book, they generalize herbs into 4 natures. They categorize them into 4 natures: cold, hot, warm, and cool. When you take certain herbs, First thing you will ask, this is yang medicine or yin medicine. Yang medicine associated with hot and warm. If it's hot, it's warm, it's just yang medicine. If a yin medicine, it would be associated with cold and cool. Generally, if this person, let's say, has a cold pain, in our daily life, we know that people has a cold pain, they like heating pad. With heating pad, they become better. If people has this kind of disease, we know that this disease is a cold disease because cold makes the situation worse, but the warm make it better. What nature of the herbs you're going to prescribe to the patient? You're going to give them cold medicine or give them hot medicine? Yes. You're going to give them hot medicine, give them yang medicine, because cold syndrome is a yin syndrome. So you're going to use yang syndrome to balance it. It's already cold, you still give them cold medicines, you make things worse. Basically, you're already talking when you're giving patient, first you will know the patient is yin syndrome or yang syndrome. If it's yin syndrome, you give them yang medicine to balance it. If people has a yang syndrome, like people feels hot all the time, then you're going to give them cold medicine, yin medicine. That is the difference. Each herbs has either cold or hot or warm or cool nature. They have certain nature. This is very different from Western medicine. Western medicine doesn't discuss the nature of the pills, but somehow you will know it. For example, if you're taking these medications for a while, your body becomes colder and colder. Before you have hot foot, your feet is warm. After the treatment, your feet becomes cold and cold. If that's the case, you know you're using the cold medicine. The cold medicine damages your yang qi, your body yang qi, and you become cold. Cold will damage yang qi. It is like in cold winter, you go outside. When you stepped outside, you are warm, but after a while, you become cold. It's because the cold damages your body yang qi, makes your body from hot to cold. If you take medications after a certain period of time, your limbs, your body becomes colder and colder. You are taking cold medicine. That this cold medicine damages the yang qi, damages your body function. You think about summertime is when you're more active. Your body function well. When it's cold, what are you doing? You're just, you don't want to do anything. And then maybe you get so cold, you're freezing. The function of your body and your life activities are all induced. You don't want to do that. That's why the nature of the medicines is important concept for us to know. Even for Western medicine, they didn't say that. Now you know they must have some nature. You will pay attention to that if you are taking medications. Then there's flavors of medicine, either sour, bitter, sweet, acrid, or salty. These ones later we will talk about in 5-element system. They belong to different elements. Different flavor will go into different organs. For example, like people has a liver problem, they should take sour medicines. The sour medicines will go to the liver. If you have a liver problem, you go to see a TCM practitioner. After you make the soup ready and it tastes sweet, you know they are not doing their work. Because you have liver problem, the medicine must taste sour. It will treat your liver. If the medicine is sweet, the soup is sweet, it treats your spleen. If it's bitter, it treats your heart. If the soup is salty, it treats your kidney. And if it's pungent, it treats your lung. With those basic ideas, we understand what's going on. We know exactly whether or not people doing their work or not. Also in this book, it talks about the 7 conditions of ingredients in prescription. So he's saying some medicines can use like a single use, but some, they have to work together like a team. When the different herbs put in together, they have a different interaction. Some maybe they like each other, help each other, enhance each other, but sometimes it will suppress each other, will even kill each other. Just like our eating food, you know, some kind of food, they cannot put it together. You cannot eat certain foods together. The same here, certain herbs cannot put it together. This book studied in details about how to use those kind of herbs. That's the major books laid the foundation of the Chinese medicine.
Development of theoretical system of Chinese medicine.
Based on that, there's a development of TCM. The first period is called the period of the Jing, Shui, and the Tang. That's roughly about 2,000 years ago. But those contributions are based on the 4 books we just mentioned. Here, there's a book called Mai Jing or Pulse Classic. It's written by a doctor called Wang Suhe. In plain language, he's the doctor specifically working for the emperor. He wrote a book about the pulse taking. From then, he found out 24 types of pulse and their indications, like the pulse is floating or is deep. His book has been translated into many languages. Another book is called the ABCs of the acupuncture and the Moxibustion. It is by Huangdi. As an acupuncturist, you have to know this person because he's the one compiles the sorting out the content of meridians, points, and acupuncture methods from other books and put them together. People know how to locate those acupoints due to the contribution of Huangdi. This guy has a very interesting story. In his early years, he was a kind of person, did nothing, achieved nothing. But later, he had a disease, and it's very painful disease. Only after that, he started to learn medicine, trying to cure himself. At the year 42, he started to learn medicine. In 4 years, so short, he must be a genius, has a big talent. In age 46, he already wrote this famous book, The ABC Classic of Acupuncture and Moxibustion, and he becomes famous at his time. I like to mention this person is because if people can start to learn Chinese medicine at age 42, then we can do it as well. It's not necessary to have to go to a university, a Chinese traditional TCM university to become a good TCM practitioner. Even think about it, traditional Chinese medicine university was a recent story. Before, it's always follow some masters and learn yourself. That's just the way it is. If he can do that, nowadays with the internet, with the convenient communication, gathering information, we should be easier to learn this. So if he can do, we can do as well. I have no doubt about this. Next one would be Ge Hong. He wrote a book, Handbook of Prescriptions for Emergency. In his book, he mentioned some infectious diseases such as smallpox and measles. Find out how to treat this kind of problem. Another one is called the General Treatise on Causes and Manifestations of All Diseases. This one we are still using is talking about the causes. Sometimes we don't know what's going on, so there's a problem. So we look at this book and say, oh, what might be the root problem? It gives you a hint. Again, each time the book cannot replace your own examination and syndrome differentiation because people are different. Like stomach pain can be caused by many reasons. You need to gather the related manifestations to make your decision. So those books give you a hint. Oh, there's one possibility is like this or one possibility is like that. You can learn, apply those knowledge into your practice. This book specifically talking about the pathogens and the manifestations of the disease. That's the useful one. Another one called Sun Simiao. He lives really, really long. At that time, there's an accurate recording about him. Sun Simiao lived 140 years old. That's really amazing. According to Huangdi's Inner Classic, human should be able to live until 120 years old. If you follow the rules of Yin-Yang, follows the root of the heaven and the earth, you're supposed to live until 120. When people getting less, it's because there's a disease or cannot maintain their mental health or physical health, then the lifespan would become shorter. But this one, he outbid the 120. He lived 140. He wrote many books. The famous one would be essential recipes for emergency or a supplement to recipes worth 1,000 gold. It's a very valuable recipes. He, as a doctor, TCM master, his work is traveling along the country. He just like traveling and treat people while he's traveling. So that's his lifestyle. Another period of time is Song, Jing, Yuan. In this dynasties, there's many famous TCM masters appeared. So the first one we're talking about is called Chen Wuzhe. He wrote a book called Treatise on 3 categories of pathogenic factors and prescriptions. Starting from him, there's classification or categorization of the disease. According to him, the disease can be categorized as exogenous pathogen, cause the exogenous disease like the wind, cold, dampness, like the outside the wind, cold, dampness, or summer heat, etc. Another is called endogenous cause. It's mainly related with emotion, like angry. The angry directly attacked the liver, and the oversex affects the kidney. Those causes are the endogenous or internal causes. So the causes would be external cause, internal cause, and then there's another cause he called non-endo exogenous cause, like improper diet, trauma, wounds. Those not belong to external causes and also not belong to internal causes. Here, give us the model of knowing or classify the cause of the disease. Nowadays, we will say the cause are external cause, internal cause, and then we also think about a pathogenic product like phlegm, retained fluid, lumps, blood stasis. Those are the results of hyperfunction of the body. But once it exists, it becomes the cause of triggering another round of problems. That's the modern ways of categorizing diseases. But in old days, in AD 1000, around these areas, we already has the theory of categorizing the diseases. This one is called Qianyi. He wrote a book, Key to the Therapeutics of Children's Disease. First time, or not, if not say first time, he would be the forerunner in the visceral diagnosis and treatment. He focused on the Zang-fu organs, which would be the important part later in your diagnosis course. In your diagnosis course, you're going to find out like it's an external problem or internal problem. If it's internal problem, the qi, blood, essence, body fluid has been affected, then we will further ask which organs involved into it. Until we know which organ involved, then it's possible for us to use herbs to treat it or use needles to treat it. If it's liver, we will go into use herbs with the sour nature. We need to find out which Zang-fu organs has problem. If you use acupuncture, then if it's liver problem, you will choose liver channel to treat the liver problem because the needle is not directly to insert into the liver. Your needle is on the liver channel. The liver channel is mainly on the legs, the inside of the legs, and also go to the side of the body. Those channels connect with the liver. You adjust the meridians. By adjusting the meridians, you can adjust the problems, disorders in the Zang-fu organs. That is why from Qianyi, we know there's visceral diagnosis and treatment. And also his syndrome differentiation, taking the 5 Zang viscera as the principle. He thinks the key is the Zang organ, not the Fu organ. The 5 Zang is again heart, lung. The middle is the spleen. Lower is the liver and the kidney. We use this 5 Zang as the center. Our treatment would be find out which Zang has been involved. This is the contribution from Qianyi. In the Jing and Yuan dynasty, there's 4 great physicians. All of them has a big name. First one we call the Liu Wan Shu. He provoked a school of cold medicine. In his idea, he's saying many diseases arise from fire. Fire is one of the etiologies of traditional Chinese medicine. You think about fire. The fire is not the fire you cook. The fire is the extreme of warm and heat. Or put it other way would be, when it's too hot, we call it fire. When the heat is not that much, we can call it warm. When it's too much, we call it fire. So they're expressing the same thing. Just the extent are different. Warm, heat, and fire. They're all yang, all associated with yang. Another person, his name is called Zang-fu. His name associated with his idea about how to treat disease, which is called the School of Eliminating Pathogens. In his mind, he thinks that the disease cause is mainly caused by the pathogenic factors. If enemy, the pathogenic factors, or here we call it the pathogenic qi, sometimes we call it the evil qi. So-called evil is compared to the healthy qi. That's just different names of saying it is the enemy. The way of keeping health in his mind is to fight back the pathogen and eliminate those pathogenic qi. That's why he called the School of Eliminating Pathogen. Based on this, he likes to use the dramatic method, diaphoresis, the use medications to stimulate the sweating. With the sweating, the pathogens will follow the sweats out of the body, or like purgation, use the medications to promote the stools. Emesis would be use medicines to stimulate the vomiting. People has a food retention. By this kind of method, to remove retained food out of the body. That's called the eliminating the pathogens method. For this method, we're still using it nowadays, but it is according to the situation. When we are trying to eliminate the pathogen, we will think about whether or not the patient can take it or not. If the peoples are very strong, the healthy qi is still there, use the vomiting method to stimulate the vomiting. If the patient is healthy, you use that method, the patient can still take it, will not affect the healthy qi. However, if the patient is weak already, the body is weak, he don't have much appetite, he didn't take much food, even a little food was in, it's stuck there, stuck in the stomach, cannot go anywhere. If that is the case, you still use the vomiting method. It is eliminated the pathogen, but at the same time, it damages the body. The body cannot take that. Nowadays, when using this method, we'll think about healthy qi first. After all, we are trying to foster the healthy qi. We are treating people. We are maintaining health. Our purpose is not get rid of the enemy. We use this method under the condition that the vital qi can be protected. At least we protect our healthy qi first.
And then we eliminate the pathogen.
It reminds me of another technique, like chemotherapy. The chemotherapy, it's really a way of eliminating the cancer. It is eliminating the enemy. However, that way of killing enemy is too much. It's kind of like it just kill all. The chemotherapy not just kill the cancer cell, but also kills the healthy cell as well. That's why like after the chemotherapy, you see a lot of people lost hair. The hair
In TCM, my dear,
connects with your kidney. The brilliance of the kidney showed in the hair. If the kidney is good, you have great color of the hair. But if the kidney was destroyed, was damaged, and the kidney are also associated with liver. If the kidney damaged, the liver will be damaged as well. If you see the fall of the hair, it just means the kidney and the liver has been damaged at the same time. Even though you are eliminating the pathogen, but at the same time you're damaging the body. Usually, TCM practitioners, they will not like this method. This method is a method killing all. We don't want it. We want to kill the enemy under the condition that we are protecting the healthy qi, not being damaged by this kind of a method. So next one is called Zhu Dan Xi. His idea is nourishing yin. he's saying is the yang is ever excessive. The yang, we say yang associated with heat, with fire. He's thinking there's too much yang in the body.
When there's too much yang,
it will consume the yin. Think about when the day is hot. When the weather is hot, the hot weather evaporates the waters, consumes the waters. The hot damages water, like you cook. You boil water under the stove. With the time, your water becomes less. Water is the yin. Fire is the yang. When there's too much yang, will make the yin suffer, leading to the yin deficiency. While yin is ever in deficiency, too much yang consumes the yin. Too much heat consumes the water. Think about this kind of relationship. In that situations, he advocates a treatment method of nourishing the yin, because yin is not sufficient. We are going to nourish the yin to reduce the fire. That's his idea of nourishing yin. Zhu Danxi, he's kind of relatively more recent. He wrote many books about his cases of treatment. He's very creative, flexible in applying TCM philosophies in the treatment. There's a famous example about how he used emotion to treat the emotion problem. The story goes like, there's a woman newly married and her husband went away on business trip. You know, old days, there's no airplane and the trains. Once the husband left the house, left the home, it's been several months. He could not return, no message sending back. The woman was so worried, missing her husband. She was finally got disease and she was depressed. She could not eat. She was just no energy, just lying on the bed because she could not eat. Her condition became really worse. The family hired a lot of practitioners to treat her disease, but never worked. One day, Dr. Zhu Danxi was invited to treat the woman's disease. Zhu Danxi came in and his diagnosis was the woman's disease was caused by emotion. So he used emotion to solve emotion. What he did is he arranged a show. He asked one of family member from her husband's side came to the woman's bedroom. When the family member came in, he started to scope the woman, saying, "Oh, you had an affair with others and we're going to divorce you. You are not a good loyal woman," this and that kind of things, humiliating things. The woman was so angry, she started to cry. But once he started to cry, the depressions inside was relieved because the depressed qi has an outlet. Not stagnant anymore. Before he could not eat is because the depression of the qi or stagnation of the qi affects the stomach. She could not eat. But now stagnation of qi was solved. She could eat and she recovered from the disease. There's no medication was used in this case. This is an example written in Zhu Danxi's book. Use emotion to treat emotion. If the problem is triggered by emotion, then you can think about use the emotion to treat it. And even in our treatment, like in clinic, patients, sometimes they have very depressed thinking. He has a pains here and there. We need to give patient advices on medication, on how to exercises, and also we give advices on psychological part of the thing. We're not psychologists, but we need to give them advices related to emotion. Maybe people are too depressed, you will need to say, okay, let it go. You will need to advise them associated with the disease. If people are always depressed, the qi will combine, stuck there. When qi is stuck, depressed, the blood cannot move. In TCM idea, the blood movement is pushed by the qi. Qi is the yang, is invisible things. It's the driving force, pushes the blood to go. Just like I showed you, okay, you see my muscle, that's yin. But the strength you cannot see. The power is the yang. The strength is the yang. The muscle is the yin. So the blood is the yin. The movement
of the blood
is by the qi, by the yang qi. In Zhu Danxi's situation, he's very creative. There's many original ideas how use those philosophies. It's a good book to read. Li Dongyuan, his idea It's very famous and acceptable by many people. His idea is a school of strengthening the earth. One of the 5 elements, it related with stomach and the spleen. In his idea, he's strengthening the importance of the stomach and the earth. He thinks that just like the earth produces everything, the seed has to be into the earth. Earth grows everything to provide the food, the nutrition for human. That's why we need to focus on keep the stomach and the spleen healthy, as the spleen is the source for producing qi and blood in our body. If there's stomach and the spleen disorder, many diseases will appear. Later, when we learn the Zang-fu organ series, in terms of the spleen, a lot of people say, oh, I have edema, right? A lot of people have edema. What is edema? Edema is the water accumulated in the body. The water is supposed to be removed out of the body in a timely basis. We need water, but we don't need too much water. In TCM idea, too much, too less are not good idea. Some people advocate, say, 8 bottles of water a day. That's not correct. It depends on people, depending on how much you need. And the people are different. We just need enough amount of water. If there's too much water, it depends on the spleen function. Spleen has the job, the responsibility of the spleen. One of it is to circulate the water inside the body and bring the extra one outside of the body. If the spleen cannot work well, the dampness, the extra water will be staying inside the body and becomes edema. Spleen, you can see, is so important. If there's a disorder of the spleen cannot function well, you are going to see edema. You can see people getting fat, like a weight. Too much weight can also be related with the spleen, because the spleen, the major function of it would be transportation, produce essence for the body to use. The waste will be transport out of the body. If the spleen is in hypofunction, cannot function well, then the capacity for the spleen to work would be declined. Then the waste cannot be put out of the body. It accumulated inside the body. People started to gain weight. And this weight, you look at them, the muscles are loose. It's not the muscle very firm. It's the loose one. Loose muscle, loose belly. And then you can expect to see loose stool as well, and less appetite. So you see, those people did not necessarily eat a lot. They might just eat a little bit, but still they have so many weight because everything cannot be moved out of the body. Li Dongyuan emphasizes how important is the stomach and the earth, strengthening the earth. He thinks many diseases started with strengthening the stomach and the spleen. When you strengthen the stomach and the spleen, you foster the healthy qi. When the healthy qi is strong enough, your body, in modern language, would have a strong immunity, can fight back those pathogens. Another philosophy or ideas provided by Li Dongyuan is that he thinks the spleen, SP for spleen qi goes up, stomach qi goes down. There's a qi circulation. Qi, circular movement of the Zang-fu organs qi. It's a circular movement. Some organs, like here we say spleen, SP for spleen, the qi should go up, and the stomach qi going down. Stomach qi will connect with the small intestine, large intestine. Food in from the mouth, esophagus, go to the mouth, and then go to the small intestine, large intestine, and out of the body. It has to go down. When it go down, the food will not stuck there. If the food stuck in somewhere, there's a stagnation. By common sense, stomach qi go down, then the spleen qi has to go up. Li Dongyuan also advocate a theory of a yin fire. Fire is yang, there is a fire. So this fire is a very strong fire. We call it excess fire. In another situation, if there's a yin deficiency, for example, it's like a balance. One side higher, the another side will be lower. That's like kind of seesaw. Like if the yang is the same, but the yin is not enough, you are consuming too much yin. For example, vomiting too much period, has too much bleeding, you lost the yin. Relatively, it looks like the yang a lot, the yang is relatively more than the yin. Those people are going to have the heat sensation, the feel heat. If you use the scale to measure the temperature is okay. It's not like I have a temperature 38, 39, but people have the sensation of hot. They were sweating, they will have palms, chest sweating. That kind of fire is called the yin fire. It is from Li Dongyuan started to advocate a concept like this. You see the contribution of Li Dongyuan to the development of traditional Chinese medicine. Ming and the Qing dynasty. In this period of time, there's another school called warm disease. Before, we usually think of the disease are caused by the coldness. The coldness go inside and turn into fire, etc. like that. In the Ming and the Qing dynasty, kind of like 500 years ago, there's a lot of warm heat disease. People suddenly affected by the pestilence. This kind of diseases, they are more infectious. Quickly, a lot of people being affected and showing similar symptoms. The development of the disease are quite fast. Quickly, people had fever. Pestilence like enemy. They attack from the superficial part until inside. Usually it takes time, but for warm heat disease, it quickly go inside, affects the blood, affects the body fluid, affects the internal organs. People even lose conscious, becomes delirious. From that on, people think this disease is not caused by cold. It is caused by the warm pathogens or the warm pestilence. From there, starts the school of the warm disease. There are several persons. First person is called Wu Youke, 500, 600 years ago. He wrote a book called Treatise on Pestilence. He put forward the idea of the pestilence. Before that, there's no etiology associated with the pestilence or noxious qi. Before, we only think about wind, cold, summer heat, dampness, think about this. But now we add a new etiology, new source for disease. So this is a significant breakthrough in the etiology of the warm disease. Next one is Ye Tianshi, Xue Shenbai, Wu Jutong, and Wang Mengying. Those names, you look at it, they are more close to us now. They makes the warm disease more complete. They divided the disease from the external level, qi level, yin level, the nutrient level, and the blood level. In different level, from the superficial to inside, the manifestations are different. The treatment would be different. In this way, when we face those problems, we can quickly solve the problem. Another way of looking at the warm disease is from the triple energizer. So-called triple energizer, there's different definitions about the triple energizer. Maybe a lot of people first time heard a story like this. The triple energizer would be, you see there's a diaphragm. On the upper part is the upper jaw. The middle, above the belly button, it is the middle jaw. And the lower part is the lower jaw. So it's just separate the body into three parts: upper jaw, middle jaw, lower jaw. Or upper energizer, middle energizer, lower energizer, or the triple energizer. This is just one of the definition. In your meriting class, you're going to see another definition about the triple energizer. Energizer considered to be full organs. From there, the triple energizer talking about the spaces in between the muscles and the tendons and the bones. Those are the pathway of circulating qi and the water. Triple energizer is a more tricky concept in TCM, depending on the pathogen attacked to which part, upper, middle, or lower part. There's some different manifestations and the treatment would be different. This is a great contribution to the traditional Chinese medicine. Here's another one, Zhang Jingyue and Zhang Xianke. There's a series of vital fire gate of kidney yin and yang. This one is another contribution to the development of traditional Chinese medicine. It's because, according to Zhang Jingyue's idea, kidney is the organ, stores the yin and yang, stores the fire and water at the same time. He thinks kidney is the root of life, just like a tree. You know, the root is most important one. All the yang qi of the body or the Zang-fu organs is regulated and supplied by the kidney yang. If kidney yang has been damaged, it will look like a reservoir without enough water to supply the river. The river connects with the reservoir, which is the kidney. If the kidney lack of yin or lack of yang, the others will be drained. Kidney is the root of the yin of the whole life. Kidney yang is also the yang of whole life. By saying so, it gives us an idea. For example, at the beginning, it's just spring yang has a problem. Yang here talking about function. TCM is interesting in a way. Everything is in changing depending on the context or the point of reference. You see things different. Before we say hot is yang, cold is yin. In this perspective, we make this definition. In another definition, we say function is yang. The organ itself is the yin. The physical organ is yin. The function means what kind of thing they can do. Now let's see. Spring yang. We say spring yang means the spring function. Just a different name to use it. When the spring function is low, spring yang is low, we know the digestion will have problem. People will have a loose stool because too many water cannot be used by the body. It goes out, exhaled from the body, makes the stools really loose stool, even sticky. If this disease at the beginning stage or even in the mild stage, you need to treat the spring. It's enough. However, if it's a stubborn problem, like a chronic, people has this kind of loose stool for so long, at that situation, if you only treat the spring, it will not going to work. At this moment, you have to treat the spring
and the kidney
together with the focus
on the kidney.
Why? It's because
the kidney yang
is the root of the yang, supplies the yang of all the body. When the spring yang is not sufficient, finally, the kidney yang we're trying to supply it. End of the story, it consumes the kidney yang as well, makes the whole body yang qi declined. That's why at the later stage, for stubborn disease, you are going to treat the affected organ plus the kidney. Yin, the same. Finally, the end of the story is the kidney affected. If the kidney yin and the kidney yang drained out, the life cannot continue anymore. In terms of the yin-yang here, kidney yin-yang, kidney essence considered to be yin. Again, here it's a yin-yang concept. For example, we say the body substance. Our body substance has a 4 body substance. It's the essence, the blood, body fluid, and the qi. Among these 4, the qi is the power pushing the circulation of blood, essence, and body fluid. This called yang, and the blood, essence, and the body fluid, which are the substance that you can see by your eyes, called yin, considered to be yin. If a people has a blood deficiency, if they have this kind of problem for long, you are going to tonify the kidney, because kidney yin is the source for providing all the yin, to supplement all the yin of the body. This is really important idea in TCM. Generally speaking, like in Chinese culture, it's almost like every folks likes to tonify kidney. They will take medications to tonify kidney or eat the food, like the bone soup. You cook the bone associated with kidney. The black stuff like black bean, fish are good for the kidney. Chinese culture limit over sex because the sex, directly consumes the kidney essence. You don't stay up too late. Go to bed too late, consumes your kidney qi. All those kind of things is we're trying to maintain our kidney. When you can maintain your kidney, you can keep long in the sense that you develop yourself better. You slow down the process of becoming old. There's no way to keep young forever. Just no way. But you can slow down the aging process. So you see some people reach certain age, kind of like free fall. Suddenly, they become so old. But then you see other people, they go over the peak, but slowly, they become older. It's related with kidney. Bear this in mind, the kidney has vital fire gate. Fire is yang. Use another word, you can just simply think about this kidney yang. It's so important in our life. Then another one called Wang Qing. He had a theory of pathogenesis of stagnant blood. Stagnant blood can cause many diseases. People underestimate this. In our acupuncture treatment, in the formulas, we were trying to find out if there's blood stasis.
If there is blood stasis and stagnant blood, we need to let it go.
So if you take medications,
you need to use yang medicine to break the stagnant blood.
Just like the nature. TCM, the interesting thing is you use common sense a lot. You use common sense to understand the TCM logic. For example, wintertime, driveway, it's icy. Once my driveway was so slippery, too many ice covered there, I used the shovel to try to break it because my car just slippery, cannot go into the garage. It's so hard to do that. But think about that. When the spring comes, you don't need to do anything. When the spring comes, it melted. Think about the ice is the lumps in the body. Let's say it's the breast, the lumps, because the bodies are so cold. Cold accumulates, cold condemns, contracts, cold accumulates and becomes the mess. If you use yang qi, increase the body yang qi, will it be able to? The yang qi will melt this, transform the lumps into liquid, into the evaporized water. That's how TCM treats things. If you say, okay, there's a lump, the fibrosis in the womb, I go to the surgery. Yes, you can do it. You go surgery and then it come back. After some time, the fibrosis still come back. That not solve the root problem if you don't trying to increase the body yang qi. And then we say kidney yang is the yang of whole body's yang. There's connections between all this. When we are explaining those ideas, until now, we're still using qi, yin-yang, 5 elements to explain everything. We're trying to find the root of it. We're going to train ourselves this way. Whenever we see things, we are looking at the yin-yang part. Yin-yang, which one? Is yin too much or yang too much? Or yin enough or yang enough? Then we're trying to get the balance of it. To the modern times, with the influence of the Western medicine, because Western medicine is really quick, like a Tylenol. You have headache, you took Tylenol, the pain go away right away immediately. So easy and convenient. People was unavoidably applying the Western medicine idea and the pills. A lot of time, one painkiller kills all. At least it kills all the symptoms at the moment. This gives traditional medicine very, very hard time. Here, there's a person called Zang-fu. He realized the situation. He published a book called Records of Traditional Chinese and the Western Medicine in Combination. Many times, they're trying to get the combination of both. He made a contribution to the development of the traditional Chinese medicine. Since then, there is a medical college. Before, the way of learning is following a master. Starting from him, there's first the medical college, and also he's the one created the first TCM hospital. Before, just know, he's the one creates the TCM hospitals. Starting from there, things are changing. If you find this video useful, please give me a like, subscribe to it, and share it with others. See you in my next videos. All the best.